I'm Keith Olbermann, and this is The Resistance. So how does this all end? With the caveat that the last 21 months has taught us that literally almost any outcome you can think of seems to have about a 5% chance of happening, I believe the newest developments, specifically Trump's healthcare fiasco and the clarifying picture of the Russian scandal, may have provided a template for the two likeliest outcomes, and something else new gives a grim foretaste of a possible third outcome. Firstly, obviously, there's Russia. This is a spike strip down the road in front of Trumpolini's Joyride. We just don't know how big the spike strip is nor how far away, and thus we don't know if the correct metaphor for what Trump is driving when he hits it is this or this. Russia could end Trump's administration in a day, or it could take the length of an impeachment, which we have seen in our lifetimes, plus a serious trial, which we have not. Or it could merely reach a kind of unresolved stasis that would delegitimize the government until the midterms or until 2020. The second outcome might result from Russia or might exist entirely independent of it. But either way, the shape of it was presented to us by Trump's Obamacare disaster. 64 days into the presidency of the first new Republican nominee elected since 2000 on the issue so central to the entire Republican Party for 7 uninterrupted years that its members in the House voted 60 times to do it, Trump and the GOP could not repeal or replace or alter or modify or touch or even get a vote on Obamacare. They not only screwed up the proverbial one-car funeral, the one-car funeral ended in a fiery, fatal collision. More importantly, what is nominally his own party backed away from Trump at the first sign of stress. The 15 furthest to the right bailed on him. The 15 furthest to the left bailed on him. Suddenly, he was the leader of the minority in the House, and they were running for high ground. And then after investing nearly a couple of hours of political capital on it, after running the gamut of deal-making from A to B, this new, quote, president, unquote, gave up. He even got a roll of stamps and mailed in his favorite part of this, blaming people. He left that to somebody on Fox News, and not even one of the weeknight clowns. Big bad Wolf Trump's mouthpiece for revenge against Paul Ryan was Jeanine Pirro, previously best known for calling a news conference at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York to declare her candidacy for the Republican nomination against then-Senator Hillary Clinton, who promptly got to page 10 of her speech only to find that page missing. She then stopped, asked if anybody had page 10, and until it was handed to her, waited in excruciating silence for 32 seconds. In short, with nothing to stop them but their own disunity, the Republicans opted immediately for disunity. What happens if the Russia scandal explodes on Trump? What if more and more of his base abandons Trump for whatever reason? What if his approval rating drops to 30% or 25% or 20%? What happens is what happened to Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon wasn't forced from the White House by Democrats. They controlled the House and the Senate every day Nixon was in office. They had already presented the most dramatic Senate special committee in history. They had stalled and stalled and stalled before even mentioning impeachment in the House. Now, Nixon was forced from office only as the 1974 midterms loomed, and Republicans, like Senator Barry Goldwater and House Minority Leader John Rhodes, presumably calculated that Nixon's staying meant Republicans up for re-election in 3 months, like them, would be going. You think these Republicans are going to defend Donald Trump the moment he becomes a tangible, direct threat to their re-elections in 2018? They didn't defend Donald Trump, still the beacon for their most rabid constituents, on their own party's primary rallying cry, while they were capable of passing anything they wanted in the House by 44 votes, after the Rasputin of Pennsylvania Avenue, Steve Bannon, reportedly threatened reprisals and a shit list, and nearly 20 months before the midterms. There is no Republican loyalty to Trump now. What about later? If Trump's insanity can no longer be hidden, it will be the Republicans who force him into the straitjacket of the 25th Amendment. And if Trump's disloyalty to this country, or just his political toxicity, can no longer be hidden, it will be the Republicans who impeach him, not the Democrats. And then they'll all stand around and say, Trump? Trump who? Of course, there is one other way all this ends, on the off chance neither of the first two scenarios arise, and we saw that over the weekend too. These are the anti-corruption protests in Russia. Hundreds arrested, including the leader of the political opposition. Scoff if you want that we could ever see this in this country, but 18 of the states of our union are now working to expand the criminalization of protest and, more importantly, to increase financial liability for dissent, to say nothing of Trump's own paranoia about paid protesters and thugs and law and order. And more broadly, if the wholesale roundup of Democrats and liberals and just pro-democracy protesters, say 2 years from today, after the midterms, if that seems like political science fiction to you, think about 2 years ago today. What term in March 2015 would you have used for the prediction that 2 years ahead, in our beloved country, the President of the United States would be Donald Trump? How would you have described that, if not by dismissing it as political science fiction? Resist. Peace.